I've just listed down a couple of fullbacks that Manchester City could buy in the summer transfer window ahead of the 2024-25 season. So I'm going to go from 5 to 1. So number 5 is Jeremy Frimpong at Bayer Leverkusen. He's 23 years old. He's more of a right wing back than a natural right back, but I think if we really did want to play wing backs, then he could be the perfect option. The only thing is, because he was in our academy before and we got rid of him, will he want to come back? That's the only thing that could provide us with challenges to get his signature over the line. He's obviously got a release clause, and we do love to buy quite a few players with release clauses. For example, we've got Grealish, we've got Haaland. Who else had a release clause? There's more players with release clauses in there, I'm sure there is. But Haaland and Grealish are the main two that we've got from release clauses anyway. Number 4, Hakimi at Paris Saint-Germain. 25 years of age. Probably would be the most expensive out of all the options that I've got on the list. But I think he would be the best option if I'm being brutally honest. Because I think he's an underrated player in my personal opinion. A Hakimi. He doesn't really get put in like with the right backs of terms of like world's best. I think he's up there with Trent, Walker, Reece James, right backs like that. And I think you could argue that he's the best in the world, really. Because in my opinion, biased aside, he is the best in the world in his position, Hakimi. And I do hope we sign him, but I've just got a funny feeling that it's written in the stars for him to go back to Real Madrid. But I hope I get proven wrong, because we have been linked with him a bit in the past, but the only way I can see this happening, maybe, if it's like involving a swap deal with Bernardo Silva going to Paris Saint-Germain and Hakimi going to Manchester City. So that's the only way I personally think it's possible for this transfer to happen. Because I think if we want to do a straight up transfer, then they're going to ask for loads of money, and then there's a possibility that City won't want to pay what PSG want. But number 3 is that we don't sign a right back or a full back, and we give Yang Kutu, is that how you say it? Who's 21, on loan at Girona, and we bring him back off loan and give him a chance. And we've also got Rico Lewis who can play there. We've got Stones who can play there. Akanji can play there as well, I think. So there is a possibility that City don't sign anyone, and we trust the players that we've already got at the club. But number 2 is Reece James at Chelsea. I personally think this won't happen because he's from the Chelsea academy. So that means that he's less likely to leave. He likes living in London. He's got his sister who plays for the Chelsea women's team with him in London, so that makes it less likely. And the only way we could get Reece James, in my personal opinion, is if Chelsea are forced into selling him, because there's a possibility with how many players they've got on their squad roster that they could be forced into selling quite a few players because of having too many squad players in their squad. I think this won't happen. if I'm being brutally honest. But number one, out of fullbacks that we could sign, he is a left back, but I do think he's particularly good, and that's DiMarco at Inter Milan. I think he's 26 years old. I think he's a good player, and if we were to go for wing backs, he would be one of the perfect options. But I don't think this will happen, to be fair, because I think he's just recently signed a new contract at Inter Milan, if I'm right in saying. So it probably won't happen unless we pay a big transfer fee. But you never know, because anything's possible. Because like things can go, like change in like a very quick time in football. Because who thought that Mahrez was going to leave last season? I didn't. He left. Who thought that Bernardo Silva was going to stay last season? I didn't. He stayed. And I don't think many people expected Gundogan to leave either. But he left. So things can surprise people in football. And things that you think's going to happen might end up not happening. And the things that you expect to happen, but well, you expect not to happen, might actually happen. But anyway, I'm going to give you my out of 10 chances of happening of all these players that I've listed on this list. Reece James, 1 out of 10. Frimpong, 7 out of 10. Hakimi, 6 out of 10. Number 3 was we don't sign one. I'd say that's 6.5 out of 10. DiMarco, 2 out of 10. And there's also players I haven't mentioned in this list. Pedro Porro, who is at Spurs. I think, is he 26, 24, something like that? I think he's 24. He's a good age, but the issue is, will Spurs sell him to us? Because when we've tried to buy players of Spurs in the past, as for example like Harry Kane, they haven't been willing to sell them to us. So there's a possibility if we did go in for Pedro Porro, that he wouldn't come to us. Because he was in our academy. I don't think he ever played a professional game for Manchester City, but he was on our rosters before. I'd say that's like a 5 out of 10 chance of happening. The only way that could happen is if Spurs don't get into the Champions League and he's determined to play for a Champions League club and he's determined to play for Manchester City. That's the way it could happen. But I think out of all the players that we're linked with in terms of fullbacks, Frimpong's the most likely because he's got a release clause. He's been at City before, and I know we don't really buy back players that many times, apart from like the exceptions of Angelino and that. But I feel like this is a high possibility, especially with the release clause, and considering that we tend to buy a lot of players with release clauses in their contract. So, leave me your thoughts on this. And also, would you actually keep Kyle Walker at the club? Because personally, I would keep him, but I wouldn't have him as captain, and I wouldn't have him as a first-team player. I'd have him as a squad rotation player, but I would play him quite a lot in the Champions League, especially if we play against like teams with like fast players, like Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. Also, we could look at Davis, but I've got a feeling that he's going to go to Real Madrid, but because that's looking likely at the moment, but you never know. I'd say that's a 3 out of 10 chance of happening. But thanks for watching this video. Check out my videos from yesterday. The one with the football shirts where I try on as many as possible at once. That's on like 14 views at the moment. And my Tottenham versus Liverpool post-match is out. That's on like 5 views. So go check those videos out. And also comment on my community post about Pep. Will he stay or will he go? You don't have to comment, but I would appreciate if you could vote anyway. And like the community post. But thanks for watching. Have a lovely rest of your bank holiday Monday. And I'll see you guys in the next one.